You know that the police aren't going to chase you. When you get to a certain speed, they're not going to chase you. Well, you've been in a lot of trouble in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, causing a danger to everybody for no reason. I'm not even sure why you ran in the first place. So you really don't care about the other people on the road, driving in and out, cutting people off. You wanted to get away because you didn't want to have to get arrested. And the only reason that you got caught is because Wycliffe put out the strips that flattened your tires, ending up on 3 rims and a tire, get off at 156 and crash your car and get out and run. Cuts.
Thank you, Your Honor. Regurgitating State of Ohio versus Julian Musa, case number 25CR001473. Defendant is present in open court today with his counsel, John Fatika. Your Honor, we're here today for sentencing. The defendant was last before Your Honor on November 25th of 2025, where he pled guilty by way of information to 1 count of failure to comply with an order or signal of a police officer, felony of the 3rd degree, and 1 count of having weapons while under disability, a felony of the 3rd degree with a forfeiture specification. At that time, a pre-sentence report and drug and alcohol evaluation were ordered. It's the state's understanding that those have been completed and provided to the court, and that all parties are prepared to go to sentencing at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Fatika.
Good morning, Your Honor. I've had an opportunity to review the PSR and the drug and alcohol evaluation as well. We're ready to go forward.
All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, we acknowledge that Mr. Musa does have some prior criminal history, some prior prison. He's been locked up between this case, a case in Pennsylvania, a case in New Jersey, since his arrest in this case on October 8th, 2025. He's come to the realization during that period that when he's using, he makes bad decisions. He feels like that was a contributing factor here. We respectfully request the court consider implementing the recommendations contained in the drug and alcohol evaluation. Most importantly, allowing him to participate in the jail treatment program. He was apologetic at the scene as well as when approached by the detectives afterwards. We'd actually consider all that in determining an appropriate sentence here.
Mr. Musa, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
Your Honor, I would just like to say that, for one, I'm very remorseful about the situation with this case. I've come to the realization, I immediately knew that from the acts that I committed, I not only put myself at risk, but I also put the officers that were in pursuit, as well as my fellow citizens on the road. And I'm sincerely apologetic and remorseful about those acts, Your Honor. Also, I've been incarcerated almost 8 months, almost 9 months now. I've used that time.
Where?
I did two months here, but from October to December, and then I was in Pennsylvania for probation violation. I was supposed to come back in court January 6th, but I was incarcerated in Pennsylvania. So I had to do that time there, and then I came back here May 15th, I believe, Your Honor. And as I was saying, during that time, I've used that time to, self-evaluate and to look deeply and thoroughly within myself. And I've come to notice that it seems like any time I've ever gotten in trouble with the law where I did not abide therein, the common denominator seems to always be intoxicants, Your Honor. And like I said, I've come to the realization that this is not the life that I want to live. I don't want to keep ending up in situations like this. I'm looking forward to sobriety. I want to stay away from any type. I don't want to drink alcohol or anything that alters my better judgment. I don't want to do anything that's going to abominate me from using my better judgment, my otherwise good judgment, Your Honor. And I just want to make better decisions. And I'm just asking you for one chance, Your Honor. I've never been in trouble in the state of Ohio. I've been coming here my whole life. And I just want to humbly request, Your Honor, one chance just to prove to you, to our community, and also to myself that this is not the life for me, not the life that I want to continue to live.
Well, you've been in a lot of trouble in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. What's that all about?
I've only had one case in Pennsylvania, but I've lived most of my life in New Jersey. And like I said, Your Honor, I'm really ashamed of I wasn't raised to get in trouble like this, Your Honor. But as I said, I've been doing a lot of thinking because I want to make a positive change. And like I said, Your Honor, I've come to the realization that literally, virtually every instance that I've ever been in trouble with the law, like I said, the common denominator has always been intoxicants, Your Honor. And with that, when I've come to that realization, I realized that, like, you know, I need to seek healthy ways to deal with stress instead of, you know, like, you know, trying to, you know, find relief in intoxicants, you know, alcohol and drugs, Your Honor. You know what I'm saying? And I'm through with that, Your Honor. Like, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to drink, I don't want to do anything that's going to alter my better judgment. Because when I'm not under the influence, you know, I feel like I make great decisions. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a bad person, Your Honor. I'm not a violent person.
It seems like you are. I'm looking at the New Jersey record.
Yeah.
You're on probation, and then
Yeah.
what were you on probation for? What offenses?
I was on the probation stemmed actually from Pennsylvania. It was a
Well, here. You got in New Jersey, going back to 14, you got a shoplifting. 16, you got a shoplifting. 17, you got a resisting arrest and flee and an eluding, a felony. And then what it says is your probation was revoked. This is, were you on probation for that? Okay. And then going forward to 22, you get a strangulation, felony 2, whatever terroristic threats are, I don't know, it's a misdemeanor, but your probation is revoked in New Jersey and you're sentenced to 4 years in prison.
Yeah, I believe the prison time was ran concurrent with the probation for the charge in Pennsylvania.
What was the charge in
The
Pennsylvania?
probation came after my release of doing
All
a
right.
4-year sentence.
All right.
The probation was for the strangulation and terroristic threats. They ran it consecutive to my time. They ran the time in prison. They ran it concurrent.
All right. So what was this all related to drugs or alcohol then?
Sad to say, Your Honor, yes.
Okay, so why didn't it dawn on you then that you ought to stop doing this shit? Because here's what happens when you do it. Why didn't you figure that out then?
To be honest, Your Honor, I honestly did. I took some time to think about that then, and it seems like to be honest with you, Your Honor, it's like I never really like saw smoking marijuana as like, how can I say, like you know, like I don't want to sound cliche, but like, you know, like as a gateway drug. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like I could always go back to smoking weed. I just gotta stay away from, you know, maybe Xanax or, you know, something a little. At the time, I felt like it was more serious. I wasn't looking at how serious the fact, like, I've been smoking weed since I was 17, and that was the start of me getting in trouble. And it seems like everything stems from pretty much from there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll smoke and then go to something else. And then also, like, Your Honor, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to make an excuse or anything at all. But, you know, I was just under a lot of pressure. When I came out and I moved out here to Ohio, it was to take care of my father. He was in a coma for 2.5 weeks. And that's when I said, like, I want to seek, upon my release, I'm going to seek help for, you know, to find better tools to cope with stress, because I was under a lot of pressure and I looked for comfort. And sadly, like to say, like in drugs and alcohol, and it's not the right thing to do. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right. So in this case, you're driving down Vine Street,
Yes, Your Honor.
and once you figure out that the cops are following you, you speed down a side street to get away. So he doesn't chase you because he doesn't want to speed down side streets, because people live on side streets. Then you get back to Route 91, you get up to Route 2, they're following you again. You get on Route 2 West. They don't chase you because East Lake doesn't chase. But Willowick chases. And you quickly accelerate to in excess of 100 miles an hour. And the only reason that you got caught is because Wycliffe put out the strips that flattened your tires. And then you go another couple of miles, ending up on 3 rims and a tire, get off at 156 and crash your car and get out and run. And you have a weapon, which you're not permitted to have. So, and all the while in this chase on first 1 rim, then 2 rims, then 3 rims, you're darting in and out of traffic, cutting people off, causing a danger to everybody for no reason. I'm not even sure why you ran in the first place.
Sounds good.
But I know why you ran, because when when people, and this happens all the time, you know that the police aren't going to chase you. When you get to a certain speed, they're not going to chase you. And that's why everybody does it, because they figure they're going to get away. So you really don't care about the other people on the road, driving in and out, cutting people off. You wanted to get away because you didn't want to have to get arrested. Okay, and you crashed the car. Luckily, the girl in the passenger seat didn't get hurt, because you pretty much wrecked that car. But your concern was you, and your concern was getting the hell out of the car and getting away. You didn't get away. Okay, that's how you conduct yourself. Okay, now I'm going to presume that since you were in jail in Pennsylvania and then brought here, and the time you've been here, that you haven't been drinking or smoking pot.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So why do you conduct yourself as you have when you've been in this jail? Why did you conduct yourself as a royal pain in the ass to the two deputies that picked you up in Pennsylvania and brought you here? And why do you continue to do that while you're over here?
Your Honor, I haven't been in too much trouble in the jail, other than like 23s.
Right. How many 23s have you had?
The last time I was here, like 15, but the 23s were for extra lending, Your Honor. It was not violent. Nothing was for like violence.
Well, you accused the one guy of sexually harassing you, and then they looked at the cameras, because there's cameras everywhere, and what you were saying never occurred.
No, he.
All right, so I'm just telling you what the cameras show.
Yeah, now I got it, Your Honor.
So you seem to have this aversion to listening to other people, and it's gotten you in trouble throughout your entire life in now 3 different states, and it doesn't seem to change.
Your Honor, that's what I'm saying, Your Honor. Like I said, I just humbly request that you would just give me one chance, Your Honor, to prove to you and to prove to myself, Your Honor, that I'm going to make a change.
I don't know what does that mean? You want one chance for what? What do you mean by a chance?
To seek help, Your Honor. I have a father that's 73, Your Honor. He's very sick, you know what I'm saying? I take care of him. Since my arrest, you know, so I pay his bills and everything.
But your priority was not, when this happened, on taking care of him. Your priority was not getting arrested. Okay? If your priority was taking care of him, you would have stopped,
Yes.
dealt with it on a misdemeanor basis, okay?
Absolutely.
And then suffered your penalty, whatever that is for that misdemeanor, which wouldn't have been a whole hell of a lot, okay? And then you could have taken care of your father, but that wasn't your priority. Your priority has been, and seems to remain, you. That's where you're at. That's where I see you being at. Ms. Cutts?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You can sit down, sir.
The court has covered part of what the state was going to bring up, so I'll touch lightly on it. Obviously, in this case, the seriousness factors are something to consider. Failure to comply is obviously always have an individual fleeing or eluding from the police. However, in this case, as this court has indicated, this went through Eastlake and Willowick, Wickliffe, Euclid into Cleveland. So there were multiple police departments involved, speeds of over 100 miles per hour, up to 120 miles per hour, changing lanes without signals, driving around vehicles, cutting vehicles off. This was at 11 p.m. starting on Vine Street. So it was not, there were definitely cars on the road. Wickliffe did do the spike strips, which led to 1 tire, 2 tires, and 3 tires off before the defendant driving the vehicle spun out, hit a guardrail, and then he did flee from the car. The passenger, who was the owner of the vehicle, and the defendant's girlfriend was in the car. He left her there. While driving in the car, she was extremely upset, wanting him to stop. She called her mother, who then called the police, and there was some confusion. Euclid's understanding was a child abduction because she said her daughter was in the car and did not clarify ages. So law enforcement was also concerned about that aspect as they were pursuing the car. So the level of danger for law enforcement, for the passenger, as well as all the other individuals on the roads was quite elevated.
And this was about 11:30 at night, correct?
Correct. 11 o'clock is when Eastlake first saw the vehicle on Vine Street. So it continued through a period of time, but it was not like 2 in the morning. It was a time where there were a decent number of cars on the road. The firearm that was located just outside the door of the driver's side door was loaded with one in the chamber. Defendant had ammunition in his pocket as well as a book bag that was in the vehicle. He was, according to what he has since said, under the influence and under suspension as he was doing all of this as well. So obviously that is very concerning, the length of time, length of the distance he went, and just the level of concern for anybody within the vicinity. And then we get to the recidivism factors. Defendant does have a history of juvenile adjudications as well as adult convictions. In 2011, his juvenile record, he has 2 different thefts out of New Jersey, and then he begins his adult record around 2014. The state was able to get his New Jersey record. He does have an OVI in 2014 before the shopliftings begin. He has, looks like, at least 3 shopliftings and resisting arrest and fleeing and eluding, which ended up in prison after probation on that one. He has additional thefts, obstructing administration of law, unlawful possession of weapons, more resisting, and then those are in New Jersey. In Pennsylvania, he has strangulation and terroristic threats. So multiple cases he was put on probation, violated, and went to prison, as well as some he just went to prison. So at the time of this offense, he was on probation in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. He's had prior prison for New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So he has not responded favorably to previous sanctions. Obviously with the additional cases and the probation violations, he has indicated there's a drug and alcohol issue, does not seem to have dealt with that at all. And then the court pointed out what the state anticipated we would with the jail issues and transportation. In November of 2025, when he was first in, he had 4 incidents in the jail. Then when he was picked up in Pennsylvania by our Lake County Sheriff's Office deputies, he grabbed one of the deputies' sweatshirts, struggled with him. He ended up with cuts on both his hands, and then he had another incident in the jail as well. And as the court pointed out, he would not have been under the influence for those actions and those behaviors in Pennsylvania before getting back to Ohio. Based on all of that, the state does feel that he is not amenable to community control and that prison is consistent and appropriate in this case. So we would ask that he be ordered to serve prison terms in both count 1 and count 2. He has 78 days credit. We'd ask for the forfeiture specification, so all the forfeiture of the firearm, magazine, ammunition, marijuana, and packaging. There's a mandatory driver's license suspension, and there's mandatory post-release control. And that would be the state's recommendation at this time. Following the sentencing, the state will also, as it previously indicated, would submit a nollie for the 25 CR 1474 case, which was Eastlake's initial case before this one. Thank you.
All right, I reviewed the pre-sentence report, the drug and alcohol evaluation, as well as other information related to the transport from Pennsylvania. I've listened to Mr. Musa, listened to counsel. I've considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. And clearly, with all that's been said here, you are not amenable to community control. So on count 1, I'm going to sentence you to 48 months in prison. On count 2, 36 months in prison. Those will be concurrent to each other for a total of 48 months, with credit for 78 days. When you are released, you will be on post-release control for at least 1 year, up to 3 years under the parole authority with conditions. If you violate the conditions, parole authority could return you to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If that violation is a new felony, you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which is the greater of 12 months or the time left under post-release control. I'm going to impose a 10-year license suspension on count 1. The items subject to forfeiture are forfeited to the state. The costs are assessed. Is there anything else, Ms. Cutts?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Fatika?
No. Could we approach, Your Honor?
Yeah. All right, council's brought up the point that I had forgotten, that any prison sentence on failure to comply has to be consecutive, so I'm going to change the number of months. Count 1 will be 24 months, and count 2 will be 24 months. Those will be by statute consecutive to one another for still a total of 48 months and credit for 78 days. All right. Anything else, Ms. Cutts?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All rise.